Ripship is a prog-rock duo based in Auckland, or at least they used to be. When we caught up with Callum and Eva-Rae McLean, they were transitioning to their new home in Wellington. So, direct from Music Planet on Queen Street, and just after performing at Eppolito's Pizza in Grey Lynn, here is Ripship to tell us all about their new album and why it's called Fearsome Engine.
Yeah, so there's an Ian Banks novel. Ian Banks is a fantastic Scottish science fiction writer.
Right.
Called Fearsome Engine, but spelt slightly differently, phonetically.
Yep.
And we wrote a song inspired by that novel, which is the title track of the album. And we thought that sounds like a great name for an album.
Yep.
It's kind of got this theme of like this powerful technological, like marching on, you can't stop this
Yes.
engine of progress. And it's got a ring to it. Sounds cool.
Yeah, it does sound cool. And I think you did a video for it as well, so that was cool as well.
We wanted to try and squeeze in a video for the album. At some point, basically, we sent a really early copy of it to the director who did our Lube the Cube music video from our EP.
Right.
Originally, she approached us to do that one, but we hit her up the second time. But she was just as keen to do a really super low budget but still good looking video, which worked for us. That's exactly what we want.
Shot it all in a day.
Yeah, whole thing was shot in a day.
She has Ellen Jones-Poole, the director, has this amazing group of people around her who are real like professionals and have really professional equipment, and they are just really charitable.
Right. Yes.
Basically, yeah.
Sadly, that is the state of the music business. It's hoping for everybody to kind of chip in and help out, isn't it? There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
And you released the record on vinyl as well?
Yeah, so
that's a huge expense.
Well, not for us, thankfully. 1 to 12 stepped in, and
good.
They were happy to put it on vinyl for us. So that was amazing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a fantasy.
Yeah,
I never thought I would have music on vinyl, so it's absolutely surreal. And 1 to 12 let us do whatever we wanted with the package as well, in terms of gatefold and the pink vinyl, and couldn't be happier.
So generous. Yeah.
Cool. So you recorded and produced the record with Peter Ruddell for the most part. So was recorded up in Auckland, was it?
Yeah, at a variety of locations. We started recording drums at Peter's studio in his house.
His poor neighbor had a migraine, so we had to move.
Yeah. So last minute.
Would it be easier for the new neighbor to move than for you guys? That's just me.
She's a lovely lady.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
Yeah. We ended up recording drums at Whammy Bar and Wine Cellar. So Whammy Bar in booths and Wine Cellar on the stage, but we moved all the acoustic paneling like around the kit.
Right.
Recording drums in a tiny booth in Whammy Bar. It was kind of nice. It kind of felt a bit more like home, a bit more comfortable.
It was cool. Yeah.
And then guitars recorded at Cordial Studio with Brian Brand.
Right.
And we brought those back over to Peter, and
vocals, synths, and everything else was all done at Jonathan Pierce's studio on K Road.
Right. So what did Peter bring to the table?
Enthusiasm, knowledge, and expertise.
Great synths.
Awesome selection.
He also does this really cool kind of polyrhythmic stabbing saxophone on Ripship is Online, which is such a nice touch.
The only feature on the album is Peter's one single sax note over and over.
We had a lot of fun being really goofy and cheesy. Like there's lots of band pass effects, and goofy, echoey vocals that come in because our music's quite camp, and I think Peter really enjoyed working on something that's camp and goofy, and you can be kind of extra creative with it. Yeah.
So what is your interest in science fiction? Because that's obviously a thing that you guys are into. So where does that come from?
Well, we both like science fiction. I study physics and software engineering.
Uh-huh.
I love science, and I love thinking about what the world could be with different science.
I think it's just easier for us to write about. We're both pretty like privileged, to be honest. We're not plagued by heartbreak or addiction or anything that like other songwriters write about.
Right.
So instead, we just gravitate towards the things that really get our brains ticking, I guess, which is the heat death of the universe, or what if you ate so much that you couldn't eat anything. Well,
Yeah. We also kind of, when we started the band, we were like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we started a band that was like a sci-fi band? And then we've kind of just
happened.
And then you did.
It's a good, we branch out a bit. We've got some fantasy in there.
Yeah.
So, and did you listen to a lot of prog rock growing up and all that stuff? Is that something that you glommed onto?
I grew up listening to a lot of Tool.
Tool?
And then,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So a lot of prog.
Yeah. I get my odd time signatures probably from King Gizzard and
Australian psych rock bands.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of 7, a lot of 9.
Yeah. My parents had a much better music taste than me. They were playing 95 BFM 24/7 in my kitchen when I was growing up.
Right.
I rebelled by listening to Linkin Park and Tool.
Right. Gotcha.
When I was 16, I was like, oh no, my parents were right.
Oh, well, these things happen. Yeah. So you have a tune called Aspire, which I'm kind of interested in. What can you tell me about that tune? It's kind of right in the middle of the album.
To the north I saw the smokestacks peeking through a sea of smog. They flushed out all the animals, killed every bird and frog. There used to be a redwood. It was the biggest living thing. They cut it down and lost their minds, trying to count the rings.
Aspire is about this really trippy, vivid dream that I had, where I was kind of in a strange fantasy landscape, and there was this giant, endless mountain that just stretched to infinity, and it was like very paradisical, looked very beautiful and enticing, but in the dream I was not allowed to go to it because it was like a forbidden, dangerous place. I think in a way the song is about anxiety around a bad acid trip.
Right.
Kind of come to life through a trippy dream that I had from my subconscious. And that guitar riff just slaps. So
Thanks.
yeah.
So how did the two of you work together musically? Because obviously it's just the two of you, so everything has to be covered. You do most of the drumming, right? But do you do everything else, or is there other stuff that kind of goes back and forth? Yeah,
we try to think about filling in all the frequencies, the things that are necessary to sound big.
Yep.
So a lot of our songs will have synth loops that occupy a lot of the bass frequencies. I've got an octave pedal on pretty much all the time that makes my guitar sound lower like a bass guitar. We try and bring those parts in and out.
We're always keeping in mind how the songs will play out live.
Right.
Very hyper aware that we are just a two-piece, and so I think there's a lot of like overcompensation with drums that I wouldn't necessarily play in another band, but like almost playing like a riff on the drums, like that kind of attitude towards it.
Yeah, even though there's two of us, you can hear drums, 2 singers, synthesizer, and guitar happening at the same time.
Right.
a 5-piece band could accomplish more easily.
Right.
All at the same time.
And then in terms of writing, like we write lyrics together.
Right.
Callum does the guitar because I don't play guitar.
Yeah.
You've written a couple drum bits. I've suggested a couple guitar parts,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And how does that go over when you're kind of overlapping, stepping on each other's musical toes, so to speak?
Depends how good the idea is. Ray wrote the cool like little harmonic in Moore's Law,
right?
In the middle part.
Callum did kind of the clicky drums in Katamari Damacy.
I'm responsible for the clacks.
The clacks.
Song.
Right.
Yeah. We're on a level where if we shoot down each other's ideas, it's not personal.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of science, you mentioned Moore's Law. So, and then, of course, I was able to Google what Moore's Law was. And now I know. But I assume you guys are kind of science geeks. You probably didn't need to be told what it was. Explain to the layman what Moore's Law is and why did you write a song about it?
The ceiling of progress is anything but low. Moore's Law means more by 2 by 4. Stand back and behold a beast built from green gold. Moore's Law means more by 2 by 4. Stand back and behold a beast built from green gold.
So Moore's Law is this idea that the number of transistors in a area on a computer chip doubles every 4 years.
Uh-huh.
It's since debunked.
It's since been kind of debunked, but this idea that computing power
is going to double every couple of years, or
we've kind of reached actually a plateau point, but there's been some recent breakthroughs, and people are kind of wondering, it might just take one more breakthrough, and then we'll see Moore's Law start up again, and we'll have another real big explosion.
Right.
Yeah. This idea of technology getting out of hand, I guess.
All right. And so you felt you needed to write about it.
Fit in with our other concept of like an AI program gaining sentience and,
right.
intentionally failing the Turing test.
Right.
And we needed something that was 2 syllables for the 5/8.
There's always that, yeah.
Yeah, Moore's Law.
Moore's Law fits.
It fits.
Yeah, and it's followed by insufficient data, which I think at one point you referred to the slow, silent murder of the universe. So there's a good time.
Little King Gizzard reference.
Oh, is it? I can't keep track of King Gizzard anymore. They put too many records out here.
Oh, they have a
Fair
record
enough.
called The Murder of the Universe.
Yeah.
It's a little nod.
Yeah.
Very good. So what's the plan going forward? You got a new year looking off into the distance here. What are you thinking about?
We're moving to Wellington.
Okay.
So that's fun. We're gonna try play some gigs down there. Try and get people to like us in Wellington.
Right.
We have some new tunes on the back burner already.
Yeah, we got 4 or 5 songs on the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a whole album yet, but yeah, working on it.
Working on it. We're hoping to keep the momentum. It's really nice to have something digital finally and something physical to sell.
Yep.
And yeah, keep it up.
Yeah. Hopefully they got some good pizza joints down in Wellington you can jam in.
I hope so.
I hope so.
I can't imagine anything better than Ippolito's.
No.
About as good as it gets.
As good as it gets, for sure.
Very good. All righty. Well, I'll let you go. Have a great holiday. Do whatever you got to do to relax, and then we'll see you on the other side. And come back to Auckland after you go down to Wellington so we can see you again.
We'll keep visiting. Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. Thank you.
For having us.
You too. Bye-bye.